Hi, I'm Keith with the Wired Nerdy podcast. We're doing something a little bit different in that we're going to review a technology that we recently had an opportunity to put our hands on. Now, it's not a new technology, but we thought it was important enough to bring it to your attention and to share with you our experience because it was kind of fun to play with. I love getting into little projects like this, and this was one that was really enjoyable. And I wanted to at least break it down for you, let you know what it's about in plain layman's terms, because that's what we like to do here. We like to geek out, nerd out, and we want everybody to be able to enjoy that. And you don't have to have some advanced computer science degree in order to understand what we're talking about. So let's get into it. Imagine a world where you could send a message without Wi-Fi, without cell towers, and without paying a dime for data. No satellites, no bars for signal, just connection. Now, that's the magic of what's called mesh networks. And one of the coolest examples of it today is called Meshtastic. And we recently had the opportunity to put it through its paces, and we wanted to give you our impressions. Let's first talk about a little bit more about mesh networks. So a mesh network is like a digital neighborhood. Every device is both a user and a messenger. When you send a message, it doesn't go straight to a cell tower. It hops from one device to another, each one passing it along until it reaches where it needs to go. Kind of like a game of telephone, but the message does not get messed up in this one. And the more people who join that network, the stronger the network becomes. Now, Meshtastic is an open source project that brings this entire idea to life and allows anybody to take part in it. The use of tiny low-cost radios, smaller than a deck of cards, can talk to each other over miles. They use simple antennas and a special long-range low-power signal called LoRa to create a private offline communication network. You can clip one of these onto your backpack, mount one into your car, or even set one up on a mountain to help connect hikers, campers, or entire rural communities. So one of your first thoughts might be, well, what else is this good for? Well, think about being off-grid, hiking, skiing, camping, or coordinating a festival in an area with no service, or you have too many people that's making that network really condensed. So Meshtastic devices can share messages, GPS locations, even small bits of sensor data, all without touching the internet. Emergency responders could use them to stay connected during natural disasters when normal communication lines have failed. Neighborhood groups could use them to build community alert networks, and even hobbyists are creating wide area community meshes that stretch across entire cities. What makes Meshtastic special isn't just the technology, it's the idea of it. That the connection doesn't have to come from some giant corporation or expensive infrastructure. It can come from us, ordinary people, linking together one tiny radio at a time. So whether it's for adventure, preparedness, or just pure curiosity like me, Meshtastic reminds us that even without the internet, we can still stay connected to each other. My co-host Doug and I recently took a trip and we went to an area called Bunker Hill in Missouri. Now, if you're not familiar with this place, it's pretty awesome. It's very remote, meaning there is no cell signal whatsoever. You stay in some cabins, so you're not really roughing it, but the terrain is very, very hilly. And the idea behind that is you have all these dense trees, and we've gone before. And when we did, we thought, there's no better environment to test one of these devices than at this place because you don't have a cell signal. It's very remote. There's lots of obstructions. Now, it's important to note that these devices work by line of sight. You'll see a lot of videos online when I started to do research. You can get them to work up to about 2 miles, they say. They quote 3, but most of the tests show that if there is a flat surface and there's no obstructions, I'm talking no trees, no buildings, you can just find a road that's really flat. You could get up to about those ranges. However, in our area, it was very dense wooded area. There was a lot of hills, and the cabins themselves are even kind of built on the hills, and it goes down into a valley next to a river. You also have a cliff face that we were butted up against. Now, if you know anything about Wi-Fi signals, they can bounce all over. And the more objects that you have, the signal's either being absorbed or being bounced off of. This is why you get odd variances sometimes with cellular technology when your cell signal seems to be going everywhere. This was a great area for us to test. Now, what we found, we went on a hike, very dense wooded area, again, lots of obstructions. We roughly got on the low end device, I'd say about up to 3 football fields in lengths, and it was still working just great. Now, that's still a pretty decent amount of distance between people, especially if you have one group that's going to go hiking in one area and another group that's going to go hiking in another area and you want to stay in touch. There's just a lot of ideas that people have about how you can use these things. And it's really novel, especially when it comes to disaster recovery, doomsday preppers. I hate to call them that. It sounds derogatory, but it's true. If there's ever an event, it's kind of nice that there's a technology that we would be able to leverage in order to stay connected. Now, I view this as a cousin of the traditional radio systems, or even ham radio hobbyist, if you know what that term is. That's been around for a very, very long time. It's got its origins rooted in World War I and World War II, where radio operators were sending encoded messages in order to coordinate battle plans. A lot of that spun out the commercialization of radios. This, to me, is just a natural progression of, since it isn't just audio that you're sending, this is an encrypted message, and you basically Bluetooth your phone to the device, and then that device talks and broadcasts out on the network to any other little Meshtastic node that may be listening. Now, we only had 2. It is important to note that not only do these work peer-to-peer, where they talk to each other and just broadcast wide open, you can also create what's called a node. Now, a node can be made with a Raspberry Pi, which is a tiny computer that's about the size of a deck of cards. We've talked about it here on the channel before, and predominantly, we've used it for retro video gaming. But you can take and build one of these nodes and put them all over your town or even on your property. And what that node does, it's a repeater signal. So it takes any messages that are sent on that network and it sends it out and it repeats it, and it allows you to go further in distance. This is a good way to solve the problem if you happen to have rough terrain like that we were in with a lot of obstructions. So it's a really cool technology. I had a lot of fun playing with it, had a lot of fun building it. My friend Matt was the one that kind of egged me on in order to do it, and it was fun. I had a blast with it. So leave your comments down below of what you think about these network devices. Hopefully you learned something new. If you like this video, let us know. We can do more of them. We also have retro reviews, retro video game reviews. And if you like this content, you're going to love the podcast. We try to get episodes out weekly when life kind of doesn't get in the way, of course. But check that out, subscribe, like. We really appreciate you all. And we'll be talking to you soon. Stay nerdy.